doing math with RHB, and we're doing lesson 30. This is part of our whole unit on fractions. We're going to look at equivalent fractions and the fraction form of 1 and how that participates in what you do with equivalent fractions. Right, again, this is all preparing you for when you get into the as, subtract, multiply, and divide, or BEDMAS involving fractions. All of these types of things that I've been talking about with our fraction unit, they come into play. If you need to be able to do them quickly and not be confused by all the different little steps. And we're looking at the equivalent fractions. Okay, the fraction form of 1 is where this comes into play. When the numerator and denominator are the same number, they equal 1. Right? Going back to your division, 3 into 3. How many times can you get 3 out of 3? You can get it once. There's your 1. How many times you can get 4 out of 4? Again, you're dividing. 4 out of 4. 4 divided by 4 gives you 1. So sometimes you need the fraction form of 1, okay, to be able to find something called equivalent fractions. So I'm going to move this up higher. To find fraction, to find an equivalent fraction, you have to multiply the given proper fraction by a form of 1. So basically 3/4. If I need a fraction that is going to be the same as 3/4, but for some reason I need it in a higher format, I am going to multiply top and bottom number by the same. And that's what happens in fractions. Whatever you do to one part of the fraction, you need to do the exact same thing to the other part. So the denominator, the numerator. If you're multiplying the denominator by 2, then you need to multiply the numerator by 2. So equivalent fractions are basically all you're doing is multiplying them by a fraction, sorry, by a form of 1, so 2 over 2. So multiplying the 3 times 2 gives you 6, multiplying the 4 times 2 gives you 8. All right, again, if you want to multiply it by 3, so again, if I multiply my denominator by 3, I have to multiply my numerator by 3. So 4 times 3 will give me 12. 3 times 3 gives me 9. So another equivalent fraction of 3/4 is 6/8, 9/12. If I multiply by another form of 1, 4 over 4, so 4 is my denominator, multiply it by 4, I get 16. If I've done that to the denominator, have to do it to the numerator. So 4 times 3 is 12, so you get 12/16. Another form of equivalent fraction, and this is a format that we're going to be using fairly heavily in another unit, but we're going to start by taking a look at that here. Another form of equivalent fraction. 2/3 equals x over 24. Now, I have x with a tail, not x as in a multiply sign. Always put a tail on the variable. Don't leave it looking like a multiply sign. There's an equal sign in the middle. So 2/3 equals x over 24. To find x, I have to figure out what I multiplied 3 by to get 24. I multiplied 3 by 8 to get 24, so therefore 2 has to be multiplied by 8, because whatever I did to the bottom, the denominator, I had to do to the numerator. So 2 times 8 is 16, so therefore x will be 16. So 2/3 equals 16 over 24. They're equivalent fractions, they're just done a slightly different way. This method, I just multiplied top and bottom by a form of 1. This one, we had to solve for x. So 3 times 8 gave me 24. 2 times 8, doing the same thing, top and bottom, will give you the x, so x will be 16. So it might be slightly different format, but they're basically accomplished the same way, multiplying by an equivalent form of 1.